We are live right now, and I just caught the end of the game there. Canucks win. That I'll admit that was nail biting. Not only that third period, but the overtime, the shootout. And we're gonna break it all down right here on the line change. As I said, live for the very first time. Uh, so let's get into some pregame notes real quick. There was no Tyler Myers. He blocked a shot in the game last night and was in some discomfort afterwards. He may be hurt, so he sat this one out. There was no Lekaramaki. Uh, we don't know the reasons for him being out of the lineup. Neil Zaman is in the lineup in place of Lekaramaki. Prior to this game, the Flames hadn't played since Saturday, so they were well rested. Quinn Hughes, of course, back in the lineup, which is great to see. The referees in this game, same referees as last night. Oh boy. And then I also something completely non-hockey related. I meant to mention this in our video the other day. I have a funny story from yesterday. Um, Funny jacket story. I went out. Just for clarification, I'm a smoker. I know it's not good for me. I should do it, but I've been smoking since I was 18, and it helps with my stress, to be honest. But yeah, back to the story. So I went out, got smokes, had a smoke, put my lighter, this guy, into my jacket pocket, and started smoking my cigarette. And then I could smell something burning. I looked down, and my jacket's on fire. At least the pocket is on fire. Somehow, I don't know how, but the trigger uh, may have gotten caught on something. And so either that or this lighter seems to like to not fully go out after I let go of the trigger. So it was still lit and it was burning my jacket. Um, so I had to quickly, pat it down, and I darn near threw the jacket off as I scared the crap out of myself. So there's a funny little story for you guys, give you guys a little bit of a chuckle. I nearly set myself on fire yesterday. So there's that. But let's get right into this game. First period. This is something everybody's talking about. The big hit from DPD. Clean hit, might I add. Adding some fire to this game. And then Connor Zary coming in and hitting DPD in the back of the head with an elbow. I'm going to give you a NSFW right now. Connor Zary is a fucking goon for doing that. That ended up being called interference. I'm sorry, but no, that should have been a effing game misconduct, 5-minute major, and it should be a suspension. There is no whatsoever reason for something like that. It was a clean hit, and Zary's coming in from behind DPD, and he's aiming for his head. You just can't have that. So I'm really pissed that wasn't a major and a game misconduct. It fucking should have been, because that was absolutely dirty and disgusting to see. But moving on, and it'll be interesting to see if player safety will look at it. I think they should. Regardless of the fact that there was a major penalty on the play, because DPD didn't return to this game. Sure, he didn't look hurt when it initially happened, but he didn't come out for the second or the third period. He's most likely in concussion protocol, just as a precaution. And then the Canucks obviously went on the power play. Zary got a interference call. Canucks did not convert on that power play. And then just shortly after the power play, Suter scores his 17th of the season at 13 minutes and 33 seconds, assisted by Marcus Pettersson and Hronek. Suter continuing to have a career year, his 17th of the season, as I mentioned. Before that, his career high was 14. So he's really had a career year, considering he's a UFA at the end of the season. I really do hope they manage to bring Suter back, because he provides so much to this team as a third line center, and I really liked him as a player as well. Garland gets called for slashing. Calgary does not end up converting on the power play, so they're 0 for 1. And then Nazem Kadri scores his 23rd of the season at 17 minutes and 53 seconds, assisted by Anderson and Ball. Little more tension at the buzzer at the end of this first period. Speaking of at the end of this first period, shots on goal in the period were 12-7 in favor of the Flames. Moving on to the second period, Michael Backlund, the captain for the Flames, only played 7 minutes of the first, and he appeared to be injured on a hit to Mancini. Like, he delivered the hit to Mancini, and it looked like he may have tweaked something. He ended up not returning. As I mentioned, no DPD to start the second. And then Canucks were down a defenseman because of it, having already been missing Myers. Lomberg gets a penalty cross-checking. Him and Hughes get into it. I thought, just like with Zary, I thought Lomberg was being a bit of a goon himself, going after Quinn Hughes. And apparently they were trying to say Hughes was diving. Like, come on. You clearly cross-checked him. PD with a one-timer. He missed. And then Jake DeBrusk scores his 23rd of the season on the power play at 10 minutes and 32 seconds, assisted by Hughes and EP40. So Canucks convert on the power play. They take the lead. Canucks are now 1 for 2 on the power play. There was some chirping between Rasmus Anderson and Quinn Hughes. Anderson's a chirper. He's always been known to that, yet he's nowhere near Quinn Hughes' level. So take a seat, Mr. Anderson. And Hughes was not putting up with shit from the Flames here tonight. I love this little back and forth with Hughes. You know, Hughes was standing his ground. He's like, you're not getting over on me. And there was a little shot of Quinn on the bench with a little bit of a evil laugh, like Dr. Evil-esque, like, Muah. So that was great to see. Braden Pahal, penalty called for interference. I'm going to be completely honest, and this is just my opinion. It looked like a bit of a knee, like knee on knee, like he kneed him, but that's just me. Huberdeau scores his 23rd of the season, shorthanded. This was a bit of a gut punch at 13 minutes and 59 seconds, assisted by Rooney and Uyghur. Canucks give up a shorthanded goal, which is something they haven't done recently. Bad penalty by Amon for holding. It was a clear hold, so there's that. Huberdeau scores again on the power play at 16 minutes and 1 second, assisted by Uyghur and Kadri. Flames 1 for 2 on the power play. There was a missed cross check from behind by Lomberg on Besser. I thought the refs could have called. I don't know why they didn't. It was a clear cross check, and you even saw Besser look back at him. That concludes the second period. Shots in the period 7-5 in favor of the Flames. After 2 periods, 19-12. And then we go into the third period, and as I mentioned, still no DPD, still didn't return. Höglander was showing some grit. He too, just like Hughes, was not putting up with shit. And he's had a lot of energy recently. I've really been liking Höglander's game. He was a total pest towards the Flames tonight, and seemed like he was the only one who really stood up for DPD during that little scrum in the first period. He was the first guy who went after Zary. So Höglander, shortly after that, gets a penalty, tripping. I thought it was a little soft. Maybe the Calgary player even dived a little. That's, again, just my personal opinion. Flames ended up not converting on the power play. They end up being 1 for 3 on the power play. It was a great save by Langton on Kadri. Quinn Hughes also with a great defensive play as well. And then you saw Hronek weeding his way through the defense. And I was flabbergasted. I was like, whoa, where's this coming from? And then he manages to pass it off to Sherwood, who was absolutely robbed by Dustin Wolf with a glove save. Zary gets called for a penalty, high sticking. I thought it should have been 4. I thought I saw a little bit of blood on Marcus Pettersson's cheek. I could have sworn there's like a little mark here. That should have been 4 minutes. Plus, Zary shouldn't have even still been in the game anyway, but I won't go down that route again. Wolf robs Hughes off the face-off. Garland had a great chance on a tip-in. Canucks were getting a lot of good chances on this power play. This is probably the best their power play has looked in quite some time. Suffice to say, they were not able to convert on the power play. The Flames were blocking a lot of shots as well. So I have to tip my cap to the Flames on that one. And then you saw Quinn Hughes with a very rare turnover. Something you don't see very often from Quinn Hughes. And then PD ended up coming down, and he was in the shooting lane, but he opted to pass instead. That's looking like old PD. That's not something you want to see. I was confused by that, and I kind of went like this. It was like, what are you doing? Canucks were out shooting the Flames in this period, like by a large margin. Like I think at one point the Flames only had 1 fucking shot on goal. A lot of pressure from the Canucks in this period in particular. You knew they were trying to get this tied up, and then Elias Pettersson scores his 14th of the season at 13 minutes and 16 seconds, assisted by Höglander and Mancini. Great goal. Attaboy PD. It was a nice juicy rebound for him, and he just pounced on it like a panther and tucked it in. And also, PD has 3 goals in the last 4. So that begs the question, is he back? Like, maybe. Great save from Wolf to keep the game tied. That ends the third period. We're going to overtime. Shots in the period ended up being 17-4 for the Canucks. After 3 periods, the Canucks outshot the Flames 30-23 when they were getting severely outshot in the first 2 periods. Moving on to overtime. Great chance 2-on-0 or 2-on-1 rather for DeBrusk and EP40. Again, absolutely robbed by Wolf. Besser missed the net. It was a great shot, but he missed the net. So it would have been very poetic if Besser had managed to get one in, especially considering how he's been playing as of late and all this talk about him. Canucks ended up taking a timeout in overtime, and then EP40 was absolutely robbed by Wolf. Seems like we're saying robbed by Wolf a lot. That just goes to show you how good this Dustin Wolf is, and he's a rookie. And he's absolutely helping. He's a large part why this Flames team is even in this wild card picture right now, because he's been standing on his head. He's basically turned Dan Vladar into their backup, and he could very well win the Calder. He's definitely up there when it comes to the Calder, especially considering he's against guys like Celebrini and whatnot. So he has a good chance of winning the Calder this year. So keep an eye out for Dustin Wolf. Besser ran one off the post. Garland was robbed. Hronek was robbed. Dustin Wolf, wow. Like, man, this kid's good. And then, at the end of overtime, what a game. Like, this game had me on my toes the entire time. It was physical. I absolutely loved it. This felt like a playoff game, and I was full on into it from the opening whistle, or opening puck drop, rather. We move forward to the shootout. Frost was stopped. EP40 scored. So, yay on that. Anderson stopped. DeBrusk stopped. Huberdeau scored. Suter stopped, Sharangovich stopped, and Connor Garland gets the shootout winner. He's apparently 40% in the shootout, so attaboy, Garland. And then for my post-game notes, I was literally typing them as the game was finishing. Canucks win is all I managed to get because of how long this game went on. So those are my recap notes. Player of the game. I wrestled with this one. For the most of the game, I had Quinn Hughes as the player of the game just because it's Quinn Hughes and he means so much to this team. And I feel as though he injected a lot of energy into this team by him coming back and then, getting a point in that first period. And he just looked intense. Obviously, he was still laboring something, but he was gutting through it. And he was a difference maker for this team tonight. He really injected a jolt into this team, like especially on that last power play that the Canucks had. You haven't seen their power play look like that in some time. But I ended up going with EP40 because he did get the tying goal. He did get an assist earlier in the game, and he scored in the shootout. He did end with a ice time of 21 minutes and 32 seconds, and he had 2 shots on goal. I didn't dive too much into the stats, as like I said, I had to do this quickly. But yeah, and that was the game. Canucks win. What a game! Like I am, wow, mind blown by this. This game was off the charts. Sorry, I'm just looking at my phone real quick. It was off the charts. Big playoff feel. And I'm just flabbergasted by this. I was very worried about this. And Canucks managed to pull through. Obviously, I would have liked if the Canucks had won this in regulation, because then the Flames do not get a point. As I mentioned, the Flames ended up gaining a point because the game went to OT. But let's quickly look at the standings right now. Okay, so standings are all the way down for the West. So right now, the Canucks are still below the playoff bar, unfortunately, and that is due to them having won this in overtime. They're tied with the Flames both at 71 points, but they gain a 2-point lead over the Blues, who play tomorrow, as I mentioned in our Flames Canucks preview video. So yeah, had the Canucks won this game in regulation, they would have leapfrogged Calgary and would have been in that second wildcard spot. They do play Chicago on Saturday, so they're off until Saturday. So they have Thursday and Friday off, so they can rest, especially Quinn Hughes, and then hopefully they can build off of this game and get a big win against Chicago on Saturday at home. Chicago, everyone knows how Chicago's been this season, despite them having Bedard, and they're already out of the playoffs. So the Canucks need to jump on the Blackhawks and essentially put it away. And it should be an easy win, although you never know with how the Canucks have been playing as of late, but it should be an easy win. And then keep in mind, it's the first out of another back-to-back, as Canucks play again on Sunday against Utah. So this is now, once again, 2 back-to-backs in a row that the Canucks have to deal with. We saw they struggled last time this happened. It was a few weeks ago where they had 2 sets of back-to-backs. They had it coming right out of the Four Nations break, and we all saw how they played. So, but that was when we didn't have Quinn. I'm not sure. I haven't heard from Rick Tocchet yet post game if Quinn Hughes is going to play on Saturday. You would think he is, considering he played fucking 27 minutes tonight in his first game back. So hopefully he does play and he can once again inject some life into this team and help them get to the playoffs. As I mentioned in the preview video that we did earlier today, we went over those stats that Jeff Patterson tweeted about on how the Canucks essentially need to go either 11-7 or 12-6 in the remaining now 18 games. So essentially, the Canucks need to win 11 more games in order to get to 93, at least 90 points. Not 93 is preferred, obviously. But yeah, big win for the Canucks tonight. I really thought this game was, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit earlier, pretty feisty. I keep saying it had that playoff feel to it. And I'm not gonna lie, after seeing this game, I kind of want both of these teams to make it into the playoffs. Have, I don't know, maybe Calgary be the number 1 seed, and then Vancouver be the number two seed for the wild card. Although Minnesota has quite the lead on that, or quite the stranglehold on that first wild card spot with 78 points. So it might be a little difficult for someone to catch them. So maybe Calgary and Vancouver may only end up being one of them that makes it. But for the sake of this discussion, let's just say they both end up being the wildcard teams and then manage to make it past the first round. I would really like to see them face off in the second round. Having last year the Canucks playing the Oilers in the second round, and then just imagine if they end up playing the Flames in the second round. And you saw games like you saw tonight in the playoffs with that added pressure. And I think that would be some damn good hockey if we did get that. But we don't always get what we want, right? So, but I really feel as though that would be one heck of a playoff matchup. I know there's some bad blood from previous playoff matchups between the Canucks and the Flames, as the Flames actually ended up knocking the Canucks out at one point a number of years ago. Actually, I believe they swept them. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, of course. But yeah, so, man, what a game. I'm a little bit at a loss for words with this, as I actually, just prior to starting the stream, I had to go and have a smoke. I was so amped up for this. But yeah, I want to know what you guys think on this game. Go ahead and let me know on Twitter. We are live streaming on Twitter. I should have said that at the beginning of this. And I believe we are live streaming on Instagram as well. Let me actually double check that, because I'm not 100% sure. I do not know. No, doesn't look like we're streaming live on Instagram, unfortunately. Bummer. I thought I was able to get that done. But I know, may as well check out Twitter too, just in case. I believe, I don't know. Doesn't look like we're streaming live on Twitter either. Sorry about that. I guess that's just YouTube. I'll try and get that fixed for the next live stream. Speaking of the next live stream, I'm thinking about doing it Saturday for the game against Chicago. Let me know in the chat or the comment section down below if you guys want to see another one this weekend. Most likely will have to be Saturday, as I am working my other job on Sunday. Most likely. I mean, I don't know yet, but there's probably a good chance that I will be. So I don't want to risk that. One game in particular that I'm debating on doing a live stream is the game against the Rangers. What is it, next week or something? Although that is 10 a.m. But just the fact that the Canucks are facing the Rangers and JT Miller for the first time has really got me wanting to get up early and watch that game just for that reason. It obviously sucks that it's going to be in New York and not here in Vancouver. We're going to have to wait until next year to see JT come back from that. Unfortunate, but maybe I know once that schedule for next season gets released, people are going to circle that game on their calendar. Who knows? Maybe I might, depending on what happens between now and then, might actually even try and go to that game if I can. I know ticket prices are going up next season for the Canucks. I did see earlier on Twitter, someone was saying that they're getting rid of the quarter season tickets for some reason. You can only get half or full or something like that, which sucks. Definitely. I have looked at quarter season tickets in the past. Obviously, they're really expensive, but the fact that they're getting rid of that seems a little odd. And you would think you would want more people going to the games or buying those. And it seemed like the quarter season tickets were, sold quite a bit. There's quite a few people who would get quarter season tickets. And now that you taking that away, you want them paying more money so they can upgrade to half or full. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. That just seems like Aquilini being a little greedy. And obviously with how the Canucks have played this year, that's not a way to get fans to come and watch your team play. You jacking up the prices when they're not performing to the level that they should be. And they're just barely clinging on to a wild card spot at this point. Well, right now they're not in a wild card spot, but they're on the edge there. So it doesn't make any sense to me that they're jacking up the ticket prices. I think someone said something about it being for the renovations or something. I don't know. I don't know what goes on in that man's head. I do think he's a bit of a dummy sometimes, but that's just my personal opinion. Probably not wise to rip on the team's owner on a podcast, but so yeah. This was a fun experience. I know we got about 2 minutes left on the stream. This was a fun experience going live for the first time. I'll admit it was a little hectic towards the end of the overtime and then the shootout. Obviously, we went a couple minutes over because I had pushed the stream back to 9 o'clock because we were going to overtime, and then nothing ended up happening in overtime. So I had to wait a little bit till the shootout was over, and literally as soon as Garland scored, I was watching the game on my iPad, as unfortunately the TV wasn't working, or the Sportsnet app wasn't working on the TV, which pissed me off. I had to go and get my iPad and watch it on there and then still do my notes, which was a little tricky, but still got to watch the game. Again, it was a great game. Had that playoff feel, as I keep mentioning. All around great game. Canucks win. Great win. Actually, on that note, I haven't even posted my Canucks win freaking thing on Instagram yet, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Haven't had a chance to post that very often this season, or at least since I started the podcast, which sucks. I made that graphic for a reason. But that's going to do it for this live stream. Again, as I said, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm not sure if there's a chat going on the YouTube side of things. Let me know in the comment section down below if you enjoyed the stream, and if you want to see it again on Saturday. And as always, if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. You really help out the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.